Well, it is Back to School Sunday, and wow, I've never seen a Back to School Sunday this big before, so that was kind of wild, but that was awesome. It's also, of course, with Back to School, kind of implies, it's the more positive spin on end of summer, although I'm sure there are some parents in the room that very much feel the positive spin of Back to School. Yes, there we go, yep. So, but summer is a huge time for student ministry, especially for myself, where my wife works for a school district in Mesquite as a social worker. Our calendars throughout the year are kind of inverted, right? My busy season of summer with all the trips, all the activities is her time to rest. And then as the students who I serve are preparing to go back to school and they're ramping back up, I get to start to rest and recover a little bit from summer. And with that comes reflection and asserting and reminding us that summer doesn't just stay in the past, doesn't stay behind us, but rather the value of these things come and carry with us. Our theme verse for the summer has been Isaiah 43:19 that says, if we can get it on the screen to read along, I'm about to do a new thing. Now it springs forth, do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. We took this verse to frame our theme of fresh because that's really what we wanted to focus on. If you saw, especially at the start of summer or just throughout summer, you've probably seen lemons and limes, all sorts of citrus was sort of our chosen icon of freshness. And not freshness just as far as, bright and tangy like citrus. I don't know. I've been choosing a lot of interesting words up here lately. We had jubilant, tangy. Just start making a list there. But as some of our students learned last week when we were having our send-off party for Rachel, our intern, also a fresh and new thing. We haven't had an intern here in quite a while. They realized that citrus itself can be a catalyst for maybe something they've never seen before. About a year ago, at the end of summer party, we were at Carrie and Andy Robertson's house for the end of summer bash for students, and they have a fruit bowl, as many of you may also have a fruit bowl, which is always a thing that's kind of confounded me. Like, it's there, supposedly for everyone, or is it? I don't know. Have you ever actually gone over to someone's house and they have a fruit bowl and you say, oh, lovely, a piece of fresh fruit. May I indulge in a piece of fresh fruit? My experience, no. Like, what are they even for? So I decided it would be kind of a funny bit to frankly test the bounds of my hospitality and the people's willingness to have me into their homes by, if I see a fruit bowl, I have committed to myself, and that really is the hurdle, because there's a giant mental hurdle of like, you are intruding to the highest degree, but I will see a fruit bowl and take a piece of fruit and just bite into it. And my hope is that one day we will get the extra layer of comedy that it's obviously a wax fruit, but man, I'm committed. And so regardless, on Sunday, most of this fruit bowl was lemons and limes. Thematically appropriate for our summer, digestively inappropriate for casual eating fruits, right? That didn't stop me though. We're gathering in the kitchen and they're going through the line, getting their burgers and hot dogs, and I reach in and I grab a lime. I find the one that has seemingly the thinnest skin and I just bite straight into it. First time I've ever done that in my life, and vastly underestimated the amount of juice in one lime. That one bite would, and you have never seen a more offended, disgusted group of students than to see someone who they love and trust, bite into a lime as if it's nothing. So I did what any good seasoned youth minister would do, and I took another bite, and then I cleaned up the juice, and I just didn't address it, right? Why would you do that? It was there. What do you mean? I'm not going to engage that question. I don't need to justify myself. A silly explanation of freshness. Literally, was I feeling especially refreshed? Not really. I was feeling refreshed by my commitment to a bit and the chaos and comedy that can come from that. But as we have gone through this summer, there has been opportunity upon opportunity for students to engage not just in new things, but in old and familiar things. There's not a lot about summer and youth ministry that is especially new. There are mission trips, there are hangouts, and there is camp and opportunity to, amidst the rest of summer, hang out, be with friends, be present, and make something of that time. And so today, for our sermon time, we are going to hear from some of our students who have had some of these experiences. One new thing that we did this summer was split our middle school and high school for mission trips. And so over the course of the summer, I would joke about our middle schoolers going to the far-off land of downtown McKinney, where we served with a place called La Tiendita. La Tiendita is a fresh food store in the middle of a food desert. It's in a neighborhood that doesn't necessarily have ready access to fresh groceries, fresh food. And so they have been around for a minute, and I basically called up Jason Hernandez there one day and said, do you have any use for about a dozen middle schoolers for a week? And together he and I started dreaming, and it turned into a wonderful opportunity and week for our middle schoolers and a handful of our high schoolers who were there to help along the way too. And so to tell us a little bit more about some of the lasting impressions, some of the newness, and some of the fresh perspective that came from that, we'll just go in the order we did first service. I had them play rock, paper, scissors, and what that turned into was both students being overly polite to the other, like, no, you first, I insist, truly, because our kids are just that polite to each other. So, but I'll go ahead and call Jacob up, and Jacob, you can share your story first.
During the middle school mission trip this year, we spent a very dirty day power washing part of the entrance to the Learning Center. Seeing as it had been a bit since I had power washed, it took me a minute to figure out how to set it up. The reason why I wanted to power wash was because my family had brought the power washer, and I got very dirty after we finished it. Well, not that. When you think about it, power washing is all about taking away the top layer that we see and revealing something underneath that we otherwise might not see. And as Christians, we're called to look past the surface of ourselves, of our neighbors and neighborhoods, to see what's really underneath. I mean, when we first got to the neighborhood of La Tiendita, it was run down, but then we learned that looks don't define people, and we learned the story of others. I mean, I guess it works vice versa, seeing a bunch of middle schoolers come in vans. The work on La Tiendita was a change to many, seeing as some were happy while others were confused. I love that through 1 week we were able to show the beauty that had been hidden underneath the dirt of the entrance, just like when we took a look inside our hearts, when we see the beauty and love inside.
Thank you, Jacob. And yeah, we didn't have the photo of him and Oliver, but you will see a video later, and you can just, if you know Jacob and Oliver, you know maybe the height differential there, and Oliver from about shoulders down was covered in mud and dirt from power washing, and so that means Jacob was from about forehead down covered in mud and dirt from power washing. So I also want to go ahead and invite Blair on up to share about some of your experience.
Well, the youth group mission trip to downtown McKinney was overall a great experience. We got to help out La Tiendita, we got to do fun projects and activities, and ending it at Fritz's Adventure was the cherry on top. But here are some things about the trip that were some of my favorite parts. First thing in the morning, we would head out to La Tiendita to help out. We painted, we drilled, and we organized. We had a great time making new friends and doing our part in helping the community. I loved helping others and making their day a little easier in any way I could. But it wasn't just at La Tiendita. We would help out at elementary schools, gardening, and even right here at Creekwood. Look, at the end of the day, we would all come together for worship. We sang songs and reflected about the day, on what we did and what we want to do tomorrow. Hearing about other people's opinions really makes you realize how much you have in common with that person. Looking back on what we did, it wasn't a huge thing that will change the world, but it helped, and that's what counts. That's why I'm so excited to see how the youth group will grow, and I'm excited to be a part of it this year.
So along the way that week, I just have to give a special shout out to Will Waldrop and Ella Claiborne and Ben Evans, sorry, that's a shorthand. Ben Evans and Oliver Viles, those last three especially kind of came along for the whole week. And actually in a cool twist of another thing that was new, being local, we were able to have parents and other adults come and volunteer with us, be our supervising adults kind of sporadically throughout the week in a way that was really beautiful, but also meant there were a lot of people who were there for their first day, their first hour or so, and that meant that these high schoolers, along with myself and Rachel and Jen, were really kind of the experts on the projects going on. And so that was really incredible to see these students step in and fill this leadership role, not just in a practical way of knowing what we were doing to build a big wooden box or what we were doing to paint railing, but to also then be that role model, that peer leader for those younger students, many of whom this was their first experience with youth group at all. But the high school experiences didn't end just there. That was a trip that we took for high school was to Little Rock, a little bit further away, to partner with Ozark Mission Project. And that is one that was more familiar to students. That was another one that felt maybe like a renewal, because last year we went to Austin and our mission work there was a little more face-to-face, person-to-person, spending time with folks in senior living housing and in daycare and having maybe some more social conversation and impact. And the year before that, they had gone to Slidell, Louisiana to sweat in the swampy bog and build ramps and decks and things like that. And so this year, going to Little Rock, which was slightly less hot from here, but also slightly more humid. So you're North Texas people, you know how that math works out. It was a return to form in a lot of ways for these students who just were excited to get down and dirty, build ramps, pinch themselves on construction equipment, and come home with a few Band-Aids. Was that mostly me? Yes. However, that was the spirit of this group. And so I want to invite Will up first to talk about your time at OMP.
So as Kevin was just talking about, 2 years ago we went to Slidell to do about the same work we did with OMP construction in the heat and humidity. And as someone that was my second mission trip, I can very comfortably say they suck, they're miserable. That's all right. And so it feels like you have to really get something out of mission trips because they make you so tired and make you really hate people for a little bit. And so in Slidell, I felt like I didn't really do much. Like, sure, we built the subfloor, but I didn't really do that much. I was just a little 7th grade boy, but on my work site, I was one of the oldest, and I'm on our SALT team here, and so I got to help lead, and it just felt a lot better to lead and really feel like I did something on this mission trip.
So as we already look ahead to next summer, we are putting Will in charge of our marketing and PR for Mission Trip it's miserable. Come on. And the great thing is he is not wrong. It is hot and hard work. And that's part of the beauty of it. All right, I want to go ahead and invite Nina up. And as she's on the way up, too, so Nina and Jacob, Andrew Evans, who we just call Drew. We don't call him Drevens, which I think is maybe your preference. But we had some last-minute scheduling changes, and so we had an opportunity for some of our middle schoolers to actually join us on the high school trip, and Nina was one such.
Hi, I'm Nina Basol, and this summer has been very fulfilling for me. This story may not be perfect, but it's about my experience on the high school mission trip. I was gratefully offered to be on not one, but 2 trips to grow deep roots with God and help my community. Perfection is what a lot of people expect in life. Even if they know they can't get it, it's still something they want. At first, I expected everything to go smoothly, maybe even quicker than the given time, but that's not what happened. Our lives never have a set route, and a lot of times there's something that makes us think or question our faith when things get hard. God's plan for us is not perfection, it's learning to get back up when we fall and learn from our mistakes to be able to grow our faith in God. One of the many unexpected things to occur on my work site was when a whole part of our neighbor's house came off. And this, of course, had to be on a landing 7 feet in the air. During our demo phase, our initial plan was to only take off the stairs, but we accidentally took a little bit more than expected. The reason it fell off was because of all the rotting wood on the house, making us a lot more cautious of what we were doing. Even though we stumbled upon something that none of us could predict, our team was able to find a way to fix the problem, even if that meant a couple extra steps to get there. On our mission trip, we had many ups and downs on our work site. Plans changed a lot, from measurements, layouts, and even where to put the trash. Though at times things were out of control and just confusing, we always did our best to stay calm and be able to connect with each other and our neighbor through God. So like I said, this story may not be perfect, but my summer was. Even in the busiest times, we can always find our way back to God.
So we just had 4 students because if we had opened the floodgate to whoever wants to share can, we would be here all day. And we would have lots more stories to hear and learn from, and hopefully, in the spirit of not just our summer theme, but ultimately what we do as Jesus people, be refreshed and renewed. Even if we weren't the ones in Little Rock or in McKinney, even if we don't know half the students that are sitting over here, it is still what we do in community to share the good things and the new things that we see all around us, to be reminded that they are real and true and unfolding all the time. As a career youth minister, summer is not new to me, right? I am used to mission trips and camps and being very busy and having that inverted schedule that right as people are starting to rest, I am getting the busiest I will be, and right as I'm getting to rest, I have no one to share that rest with because they are all getting back to their busyness. And yet, it is continually renewing and refreshing because it's somebody's first mission trip. It's somebody's first time walking in the student house. It is somebody's first promotion Sunday, coming in as a new 6th grader, sort of knowing what to expect, but not totally. That kind of renewal is the business God is in. When Isaiah is sharing that truth from God that, behold, I am doing a new thing, that new thing really isn't that new, isn't that novel. Like we are reminded in our usual rhythms of Easter and Advent and Christmas, the new things of God are really just the consistent and even old things of God. That reliability of God's prevenient grace, God's everlasting grace, always drawing us to be reminded that the kingdom is here and now it is at work and unfolding. It is an open invitation for all of us who might be bold enough, whether that boldness leads you to say yes to a day with middle schoolers in McKinney, or simply to show up or reach out to someone on a day when maybe you don't want to. It feels like that would demand more energy than it would give. The old things of God are the new things, that we might engage the world and see others and ourselves with that fresh perspective, those new eyes and point of view. And in so doing, align ourselves even just a little more with how God is moving in the world and how we might fold into that story. Let's close in prayer together. And so God, at a moment of transition, in a morning full of blessing and sending, God, a moment that is full of so many different emotions, whether that is joy or nervousness, God, you are present and you are a peace that covers it. It covers everything that we are feeling, everything that we are experiencing, even when we are not feeling peaceful, even when we feel like we have so much on our plate. God, yours is a promise of refreshment and renewal, not because things are going to change so radically, but because we are always changing, even just a little at a time. And so, God, as we continue to grow as individuals, to grow as a community, may we do so in your spirit of grace and love and neighborliness, that our eyes might be open, our hearts might be open, and our hands might be open to how you are already moving and working in the world around us, in the world within us. God, help us to see others with the eyes that you see them, full of love and abounding mercy and grace. May we have those same eyes when we look in the mirror, when we feel overwhelmed, when we find ourselves amidst transition and change. Because God, yours is a new way. It's a way where there wasn't one before. It's a spring in the desert. God, give us the boldness to come and follow that way, to drink from the spring, so that we might also be that good news for those around us. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.